Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kuvas and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, that's G-R-A-N, group, at edinarealty.com, or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. Men for the Win is part of the Pulltab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your media platforms at Pulltab Sports. On this episode, Dan and Hoges recap maybe the craziest day in Twins baseball, at least as far as trade deadlines go. Thank you for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning into Men for the Win. I am Dan Thompson. With me again, a day after we last spoke, is Andrew Hoges Hoganson. We are here to recap the Twins trade deadline that just kept going, Hoges. I'm still at the teacher conference. I pulled the recording equipment back out because I thought we had to talk about the craziness of this day. What was this day like for you?
It was unbelievable. I mean, it was completely unbelievable today. You just kept looking on Twitter and it'd be one name after another, and you think that's the shocking one. No, that's the shocking one. No, that's the shocking one. Like, I gotta admit, Dan, I'm a little bit sad right now. Through our texting conversation, I feel like you've been trying to cheer me up the rest of the day. I'm not having it. Like, the more and more I think about it, I'm not having it. 10 guys off of the 26-man roster. I mean, that is something else.
Feels unprecedented. ESPN, I believe, labeled as their trade losers the Minnesota Twins fan base.
Yeah, I like how they did the Minnesota Twins ... fans. And I was like, yeah, I feel like the biggest loser today. I really do.
So I will run through the names that are gone, Hoges, and then maybe you can run through the names that are here now. Gosh. Okay, so Randy Dobnak and Chris Paddock, who we knew about. Then Johan Duran gets traded. And then, in some order here, Harrison Bader, Carlos Correa, Danny Coulomb, Willie Castro, Griffin Jacks, Louis Varland, and then Ty France. Just a massacre, Hoges. And then what did they get back?
All right. Well, so for Correa, they basically got nothing back. They're paying $33 million of his salary. They're getting a minor league left-handed pitcher, Matt Mikulski. And according to Gleeman, it's just a throw-in. He's a prospect who wasn't even in baseball 6 months ago. So it was his quote was something like, it was just to say that they got something in return. Duran was the biggest haul by far. We talked about that in the last podcast. They got Eduardo Tate, who is the 6th best prospect in Philadelphia.
Taite. I believe I saw that somewhere corrected.
Okay,
somewhere.
Good to know. Well, hopefully this is a name we're saying a lot more, right?
Let's hope
and we'll
so.
get it right. Yeah, he's a top 10 prospect for them, top 60 in Major League Baseball, I think. And then Mick Abel, who was a top 100 prospect. He's been in the majors a bit, so there is a little bit of excitement there. For Paddock and Dobnak, we got that Enrique Jimenez from the Tigers, who's a low-level catching prospect. Bader, we got from the Phillies, and Hendry Mendez, the Phillies' number 12 prospect, and then Jeremy Villoria, who is a right-handed pitcher who is not even ranked in the top 30. Brock Stewart, they got James Outman, or is it Outman? I can't ever remember that one.
That one is Outman, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It is Outman. He so famously robbed Carlos Correa or maybe robbed him of the home run in the last series.
We should check the betting history, I think, of that game there, right? Too, Hoges, just in case.
For Danny Coulomb to the Rangers, we got left-handed pitcher Garrett Horn, also not ranked in their top 30. And then Castro to the Cubs, we got Ryan Gallagher and Sam Armstrong. Gallagher is in the top 10 of their prospect list, so that seems like a decent return for just a one-year rental for him. And then for Louis Varland, which that one was easily oh man, that burns. Even just hearing that right now, that burns.
So sorry.
And Ty France, who was free agent to the Blue Jays, for Kendry Rojas, who was Toronto's number 5 prospect, and Alan Roden. And then finally, Griffin Jacks to the Tampa Bay Rays. This one was surprising for Taj Bradley. Like, I know he hasn't pitched that well this year, but he was a top 3 prospect, I think, within 2 years. So that might be a decent return. But all in all, Dan, What are your thoughts on all of this?
So we've talked about the stages of grief before, right, throughout the day. So there's been, I don't know which one I'm at, but there's an element of bargaining that I'm going to at least posture that.
That's good because I'm not there. I'm going to be the negative one.
So you say things and you try to believe them, right, even if you don't necessarily believe them. So I'm going to frame this in a way where I think maybe this could work. So, all right, so hear me out. So the starting rotation is actually pretty intact. Joe Ryan was not traded, miraculously.
I'd just like to point out, because we've argued about this already today, when you say that the starting rotation is intact, you are mostly talking about next year. You are not talking about now at this exact moment, because I would argue they have about 2 pitchers right now.
Right. Okay, so yes, because half the guys I'm going to mention are on the injured list.
Yes.
So Pablo Lopez.
Because my chest is cold and my arms aren't.
I'm just happy some of our Sounders have survived. Bailey Ober.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
And then and Zebby Matthews, we don't have a Sounder for yet. So there's that group there. SWR, right? He's still there.
Yeah. You got David Festa, too.
You got Festa somewhere. But again, 3 of those guys we just talked about on the injured list. Ober might come back this week. I think that's the presumption here. He's going to come back. So the rotation's okay. And then actually your lineup is decently intact. Now, we don't know who's going to play some positions.
First or short or right or left.
No, it's not that bad. Right, so, okay. So at third base, we've got Royce Lewis, who I think if ever we've thought about this.
You were the chosen one.
Well, that's
Better
the wrong
be.
one. Oh, what's the other one?
Yeah,
Here,
right.
Anyway,
I don't know if that was the round one, Dan.
So Royce, we don't have, man, so many Sounders here. We don't have this guy anymore.
I want to build a championship culture.
Yeah, forget the building of a championship culture. Thanks, Carlos. So he's gone. But you think Brooks Lee's got to play short.
My back.
All right, I got to stop playing all these Sounders. Well, I got one more, though. I think Luke Keeschel is going to play.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
And then Cody Clemens will play somewhere,
Cody
right?
Clemens. Yeah, there we
Not
go.
traded. Cody was not
man.
traded through all this. So, and then you've got still Ryan Jeffers and Christian Vasquez. You can't trade Christian Vasquez, right?
Yes,
Nobody would
so
take
glad
him.
we have him.
So, and then you've got Byron Buxton. I know he's hurt, but he's center. And then you got Wallner and Larnach to play the corner outfield positions.
Great.
This is like a pickup game. Like, where's
it is.
Smalls? Like, they need to bring Smalls in to play that
my
DH
goodness.
spot. But other
we have
than that,
no bullpen. But we have
well,
no
there's-
bullpen.
That's the problem, right?
Literally 5 guys from the bullpen. Like, oh my goodness. I think there needs to be a caveat quick. Anything that we say on this episode is reactionary. We're going through it a little bit. There's going to be some things that are probably going to make us look stupid later, but I'm mad. I'm mad right now. Like, here's my take on this. There are some guys on this list that absolutely should have been traded, and I understand the situation that we are in this year. However, guy like Louis Varland, who wasn't going to be a free agent until 2031 and is literally making a minimum salary, and you could argue has played decent enough to you could consider him being a closer somewhere in the future where that's not a stretch. Why is he getting traded? I don't, there's nothing that would make me think that you have to trade that guy.
No, and that's the mystery that I think we're trying to unpack, is why is Derek Falvey making some of these moves that mortgage a deep, distant future? Because you got to think that there are reasons why he made the moves that he did. You would hope that there's an ownership change coming. We've seen speculation, maybe the owners who are about to buy the team potentially from the Pulltabs wanted to clear the books and have a clean slate going forward. But don't they want to buy a team that's more competitive? That's where that deal doesn't make sense. The Griffin Jacks deal doesn't make a ton of sense there either, because you have these guys for a few more years.
Yeah, for nothing. Like, I've heard that argument from so many people today. Like, they would clear in the books, starting fresh. Louis Varland made the minimum. You cannot pay him less than that. Right. So what are you clearing? You need 26 guys, and he's a good arm, and he's under team control for 5. Like, that one just, there's nothing that gets me to that point. Like, I don't understand it. The Jackson, the Duran one, like, you're hoping for a pretty good return, but then you see like what the A's got for Mason Miller. Granted,
they got
he
a
does
lot
have,
for Mason
he has
Miller.
a lot more team control than Duran has. I'm not stupid. I'm not oblivious to that. However, getting the number 3 prospect in baseball for him is a pretty big haul. It's
the philosophy that I can see, though, is that you it's kind of like in fantasy football where you like do the 0 quarterback strategy or the 0 whatever. Like,
and you just pick up whatever's around
you do,
after that,
because you figure that relief pitchers are, they can flame out, their arms can go, you can get guys. I mean, Emilio Pagan can be gotten for, like a few $3, $4, $5 million, and he's closing for the Reds. Trevor McGill, like we've seen all these former Twins, and you don't have to pay that much for them.
Louis Varland was the cheapest.
Like, that's the one I
just.
That's what I don't get.
Yeah, and then Correa is the other one to me.
Well, we got to talk about Correa. Yeah, so the fact that the Twins are paying, it's like $30 million or something of this deal here. As you mentioned, they get kind of a throwaway prospect back. We talked about this in our last episode, and how I felt like Correa there was a level of betrayal here. But he forces his way essentially to get a deal to Houston. So do you have empathy for Correa here?
Oh,
or
a ton.
Do you not? Okay.
No part of me. I think you and I are on opposite sides of this one on who we're pacing the blame for. I'm fine with what he wanted to do. Like, there were quotes from players coming from the clubhouse today that I think Dan Hayes was tweeting. They're like, if all of these guys are gone, and it wasn't Correa. Correa had already been traded at this point. If all these guys are gone, I don't want to be here either. And I don't blame them one bit. This is a poverty franchise right now to the absolute max. And if he had an opportunity to go back to a team that actually cares about winning, there's zero poor feelings. I mean, when you have a no trade clause, you get that power. He earned that power, signed that contract. That's the one team that he wanted to go back to. I have nothing against him. I have everything against Falvey and Pohlad right now, like for giving him away. To me, it feels a little bit like the Wild almost with the Parisi and the Suter buyouts, where maybe it's like we want to change the culture of this team. How's that going for the Wild? This is their first year with finally having that salary cap back. They haven't done jack yet.
Well, they haven't signed Kaprizov yet, and they haven't.
But they did nothing in free agency. So right now, that money's still just sitting there. Like, it's the Correa deal only makes sense, and we've said this so many times about other guys that they've cut. If they use that money to reinvest in someone else, and they won't. I don't even have to say like I don't think they will. I know that they won't. So it doesn't make your baseball team any better. You're saving $70 million in the long run, but you're still paying a guy $30 million to go play somewhere else who maybe isn't a superstar anymore, but he's still a star. And you don't.
I think he's going to play way better in Houston.
I think he will too, because he's on a team that matters. Yeah. Like I don't blame him one bit, and I don't think he forced his way out or anything like that. I think it was this team isn't going in the direction that he wanted. They've wanted to trade him for a while now, I think, and he finally said, "If you're the only team I'll waive it for is the Astros," and they said done and did it. Like I think that's what it ultimately boils down to, and I can't blame the guy for that.
I think it's hard because a deal like that and trading away the relievers feels like you're kind of betting against these guys' futures. Like you think that you maybe already got the best of them, and that's hard to take because maybe we will look back at these deals. Maybe Duran will blow his arm out. Maybe Griffin Jacks won't be effective. Maybe Correa really does have something wrong with his body.
I don't believe that man's ever been.
I mean, we don't know, but it's just it feels so icky.
Right, because you're like, when something happens to them, you're almost like, ha, got it. And then you're like, oh, I don't like that.
Right, and so my question to you is, now how do we watch this team the rest of the season here? Because we have not been in a spot like this.
No, we haven't. Not since, I mean, I was a kid. You were like a young teen at the time.
Yes,
but
exactly. Yeah, I got to find it there. Like,
I'm a man. I'm 40.
I was like in college.
Like the last 3 times I've been on this episode, I've been complaining about well, they're not the 90s Twins. Folks, they're about to be the 90s Twins, I feel like.
But we have this new ownership we don't have one yet, but in theory, somebody's going to buy this baseball team. So I guess we have to hope that they invest more. But again, to my question, are you going to watch this team thinking?
I think you could have just stopped there. Like, are you going to watch? I don't know. I'll give you. I don't really want to admit this right now because I'm too angry. But I'll admit there's a part of me that it's like, okay, you're giving the young guys a shot. Trevor Plouffe came on Twitter today and he just had a 2-minute spiel where he's like, it's audition time right now. There's a lot of guys that are going to get a chance, and hopefully you can see something out of there. The part that makes me sick, though, is they traded guys that would have been good in 2028, 2029, and I don't want to wait 5 years again for this team to be good. And do you think, and this is just getting way out of left field, but do you think this team has a winning record in the next 3 years? I think if you had to bet, you'd say no at this point in time.
I would say because of the starting pitching and because they do have a lineup here. I guess I don't buy into the narrative.
What baseball team have you been watching with this team scoring runs? Where? I don't know what that's.
I knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what
I'm
to
here
do.
like doomsday scenario, and that Buxton waives his no trade clause next year.
That
and
would
we're
be the worry. That would be the worry. I think they're going to spend the time kind of repairing these relationships and being able to say, Byron, listen, we got a plan here. We don't know what that plan is yet, but we have a plan. I am not yet quite ready to give up my hope on next season because I am excited about the next batch. Wally Jenkins isn't that far away.
He's dropping in the prospect rankings. Not that we need to
he's
talk
still like
about
a
that
top
right now
10
too, but in
guy
their
or something.
latest version of it, he dropped like 4 spots.
Because he's hurt. He'll be okay. You got Wally coming up. Maybe Emmanuel Rodriguez will have a little bit. Maybe his legs will work better too. So I'm not quite ready to give up on him just yet. So
I'm not giving up on them. Unfortunately, I'm a fan for life. It's there. I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep hurting. But like I texted my family today. It was the same thing with like the 90s Twins. I was like, well, you know what? Because my sons are 5 and 3. At least they'll be growing up in the same era of Twins baseball that I was, which, you know, it's not. This is Minnesota sports fan to the max. It's not that bad because then when you finally make the playoffs, you think you won the World Series.
It is the most Minnesotan thing, though. Of all the places for this to happen, it had to happen to the Minnesota Twins. And
it's insane,
and
it's not just
deadline catastrophe.
It's not just in our heads, right? Because like you said about the ESPN thing, them saying the biggest losers, Minnesota Twins ... fans, and you know, if you need like a little bit of grieving and you just want to live in that angry space for a while, Twitter's hilarious right now.
Gosh,
like
yes.
There's so many fun bits about like the letter that they sent to the Twins fans after the 2023 season,
Yes.
and then like an abbreviated one, which is basically just Falvey being like "F off Minnesota." I mean, it's just it's nonstop, just something that we've dealt with almost our whole lives. But can you remember? It's through however many years you've watched Twins baseball.
It's been a long
such
time.
a drastic turn from how we think about how we felt after we beat the Blue Jays in 2023 in that series to I think it's 20 months from then to right now. It's terrifying. Like I went back today and I listened to our first episode after they ended the streak there when they beat the Blue Jays, and we're talking about how is there nothing Royce Lewis can't do, and then Duran just being a beast out of the bullpen, and Jax pitching the 8th and just doing incredibly well, Castro and I was just living in my sadness this afternoon.
Well, maybe that's a good spot to end it, Hogs. We can live in the sadness and maybe remember the joyful times when the Twins won a playoff series.
I'm so excited.
We can't even celebrate a World Series.
Right. I'm so excited to hear what David has to say because he's been at the game show all day today, and we've like very few conversations with him. When he finally gets back on this episode, I'm excited to see whose side he is on after like letting it dwell for a bit.
Well, we will let it dwell. So we will be back on Sunday to talk about the Guardians series. We're gonna have a lot to unpack after that too, Hogs.
We will. It could be some fun baseball, right? We're getting some additions.
See, that's what I mean. There's your optimism,
Eddie,
Hogs,
your
right?
guy Eddie Julian's probably coming up.
Oh, Canada.
They have to call up 10 guys. They have to call up 10 guys.
All right, Hogs. Well, I'm going to go ahead and send us out here. Folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Min for the Win. You can find our Min for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform so you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or a like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you for listening. And as always, go Twins. That'll wrap up another episode of Min for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.